My name is Drake, and I live a double life. To everyone, I'm a regular guy. A good job, a wide circle of friends, active social life. But there's a part of me that I carefully hide from everyone. I'm gay, and I've been hopelessly in love with my best friend for 3 years. Mike. Even pronouncing his name in my thoughts is becoming increasingly difficult. We've known each other for 7 years since working at the same company. He immediately won me over, open, with a great sense of humor, always ready to help. Our friendship developed naturally and easily. Joint lunches at the office turned into trips to bars after work. Mutual friends appeared in a tradition of watching important matches together and weekend trips to the countryside. Everything was great until I realized my feelings for him had long outgrown simple friendship. I remember the moment this realization hit me. We were at a mutual friend's birthday party. Mike was telling a funny story, and I found myself admiring the way he smiled, gestured, and pushed his hair back from his forehead in a characteristic motion. I couldn't sleep that night, trying to convince myself that this was just a temporary lapse in judgment. But time passed, and the feelings only grew stronger. Every meeting with Mike turned into sweet torture. I learned to control my glances, keep my distance, and play just a friend's role. But everything inside turned upside down when he hugged me in a friendly way or accidentally touched me. Hiding my orientation wasn't hard. Years of practice had done their job. I even went on dates with girls a few times, maintaining the image of a straight man. But hiding my feelings for Mike was becoming increasingly difficult. There were moments when I almost decided to tell him the truth, especially when we were alone after a couple of beers, in those rare moments of absolute sincerity between friends. But the fear of losing him, of ruining our friendship, always proved stronger. Mike wasn't homophobic. He knew gay people and was okay with it. But it's one thing to be tolerant of someone else's orientation, and quite another to find out that your best friend has been hiding the truth from you for years and is also in love with you. I learned to live with this secret. I learned to enjoy what I have, his friendship, trust, and the opportunity to be close. I tried to suppress romantic feelings and convince myself that friendship is also a form of love and should be enough. But sometimes, incredibly late at night, I'd let myself dream when we'd sit watching a movie at his or my place. I'd imagine what it would be like if he felt the same way. If I could just move closer, take his hand, confess everything. These fantasies were dangerous. They gave false hope and made reality even more painful. But I couldn't give them up. They became part of my life, like my love for Mike itself. Everything would stay that way. My secret feelings, his innocent friendship, the eternal what if. But last Saturday changed everything. That same Saturday when my wildest dreams suddenly became a reality. But first things first. That Saturday, Mike was throwing a party at his house. Nothing special, just an excuse to get friends together, play board games, and drink beer. An ordinary evening, like many others. At least, that's what I thought when I rang his doorbell. Mike opened the door with his usual smile. He was wearing a simple white t-shirt that perfectly emphasized his athletic figure. I felt a familiar tightening in my chest, but I quickly pulled myself together. "You first," he said, pulling me into a friendly hug. "Will you help with the snacks?" We walked into the kitchen, and I tried to focus on slicing cheese and sausage, and not on how he moved around the kitchen, how he rolled up his shirt sleeves to reveal his strong forearms. Slowly, others began to arrive. Sarah and Jim brought wine, Alex got a new board game, and Mike played the music. The party was gaining momentum. I sat in the corner of the couch, sipping a beer and watching Mike. He was always the life of the party. He could cheer you up, keep the conversation going, and make everyone feel comfortable. Today, he was especially in good spirits, telling some incredible stories from work, joking and laughing. "Hey, what are you thinking about?" Sarah plopped down next to me. "It's been so quiet all evening." "Just a little tired," I lied, sipping from the bottle. "Come on, you've been staring at Mike all evening." I almost choked on my beer. "What? No, I just—" "Relax," she winked. "Your secret is safe with me." Before I could respond, Mike announced it was time to play Truth or Dare. I groaned internally. That game was always dangerous territory for someone like me. Luckily, most of the questions and tasks were harmless. Alex admitted to sleeping with a teddy bear, Jim danced awkwardly, and Sarah talked about her most awkward date. When it was my turn, the bottle pointed at Mike. He looked at me thoughtfully. Truth or dare? True, I chose, hoping for an easy question. Who do you like now? My heart skipped a beat. I looked into his eyes and saw genuine interest. If only he knew. Nobody, I lied, feeling Sarah's knowing gaze on me. No time for that now. The evening went on. Someone turned on karaoke, and Mike, quite tipsy, sang a heartbreaking version of I Will Survive. I looked at him, flushed, happy, so alive, and felt my heart squeeze at the impossibility of being closer. Around midnight, the guests began to leave. As she left, Sarah looked at me meaningfully and whispered, "Sometimes you just have to take a chance." Soon, it was just the two of us. Mike started collecting empty bottles, and I automatically joined in the cleanup. "Great night," he said, putting the pizza in the fridge. "Want to stay? It's late, and you've been drinking." "Yeah, I guess it's worth it," I agreed, trying not to think about spending the night in his house again, knowing he was sleeping next door. We finished cleaning around 1 a.m. Mike made a bed for me on the couch in the living room and brought a pillow and a blanket. "Good night," he said, smiling. "If you need anything, you know where to find me." Oh, if only he knew how much I need from him. I lay in the dark, listening to him walk around his room, the sound of the water in the shower, and the creaking of his bed. I couldn't sleep. The events of the evening, his smiles, and his casual touches were spinning in my head. It was 2 a.m. I was lying on the couch, staring at the ceiling, and listening to the clocks ticking. I couldn't sleep. Maybe it was the alcohol I'd drunk, or perhaps it was the fact that I was too aware of Mike's presence through the wall. Deciding to get a drink of water, I quietly stood up and headed to the kitchen. As I passed his bedroom, I noticed the door was slightly open. Moonlight was streaming through the window, illuminating the room with a soft, silvery light. I should have passed by and continued on my way to the kitchen, but something made me stop and peer through the crack. Mike was sleeping on his side, the blanket thrown off. His naked torso shone silver in the moonlight. I froze, unable to tear my eyes away from the sight. Years of training had sculpted his body perfectly. Broad shoulders, a sculpted chest, a flat stomach. His mouth was dry, but not from thirst. His heart was pounding so hard that it seemed like it would wake the whole house. The alcohol in his blood had dulled his fear and doubt, leaving only pure, unclouded desire. To hell with it, flashed through my mind, and I quietly entered the room. Each step seemed like an eternity. I knelt down next to his bed, looking closely at his face, relaxed in sleep. Long eyelashes cast shadows on his cheeks, lips slightly parted. Everything I had wanted for years was right in front of me. Every dream, every fantasy, every suppressed desire burst to the surface. I couldn't hold back any longer. Slowly, as if in a dream, I leaned down and touched his lips with mine. The kiss was light, almost weightless, but even from this fleeting touch, a shudder ran through my body. Suddenly, I felt him move. My heart sank. Mike opened his eyes, and our gazes met. Time stood still. There was surprise in his eyes, but no disgust or anger. I waited for him to push me away, to scream, to demand an explanation. But instead, his hand slid around my neck, pulling me closer, and the next moment he was kissing me, really, passionately, without hesitation. It was like an electric shock. All my senses were heightened to the limit. I felt the warmth of his skin, the taste of his lips, the smell of his body. Reality and fantasy merged. "I've wanted this for so long," he whispered between kisses, and those words seemed to break down the last barrier between us. His hand slid under my shirt, exploring the body he'd only seen at the gym before. My fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer as if afraid he'd disappear. Why didn't you ever tell me? He asked, pulling away for a second. I was afraid of losing you, I answered honestly. Our friendship. Silly. He smiled and pulled me close again. Every touch was filled with years of suppressed feelings. Every kiss carried all the unspoken words, all the hidden desires. Luna was the only witness to how the walls I had spent so long building crumbled. How friendship was turning into something more, something real. The moonlight cast strange shadows on the walls, and our intermittent sighs broke the silence of the night. Mike pulled me onto the bed, and now we lay face to face. I never thought, he began, fingers over my cheek. Or rather I thought, but I was afraid to believe it. There were moments when I caught your glances, but I attributed it all to my imagination. His confession made my heart beat even faster. So I wasn't the only one who felt this way? Wasn't the only one who struggled with the desire to be closer? And I thought you were straight, I smiled. All those stories about dating girls? I'm bi, he replied simply. I've just never met a guy who made me want more. Until you. His words were like music to my ears. Every confession, every look, every touch, everything I had dreamed of for years suddenly became reality. On the wave of these emotions, there was no longer any strength to restrain myself. At that moment, we were already having sex. Afterward, we lay intertwined, and I couldn't believe it wasn't a dream. His heart was beating next to mine, his breath tickled my neck, and his hands gently stroked my back. You know, he whispered, I always felt like there was something special between us. That our friendship was more than just friendship. Why didn't you ever say anything? For the same reason as you. I was afraid to ruin everything. Besides, you tried so hard to hide your orientation. I pressed myself closer to him, breathing in his familiar scent. Now that all the cards were revealed, every second of closeness seemed precious. What now? I asked, voicing the question that was spinning in my head. Now? He propped himself up on his elbow, looking me in the eye. Now we'll make up for lost time, if you want, of course. Instead of answering, I kissed him. In that kiss was all the tenderness, all the love, and unspoken feelings of the last years. The moon floated slowly across the sky, illuminating our first night together. The night that changed everything. The night when dreams became reality. I've waited so long for this, I whispered, running my fingers over his chest. Sometimes I felt like I was going crazy from being unable to be with you. No more waiting, he replied, kissing my temple. No more secrets. We spoke in whispers, afraid to ruin the magic of the moment. We shared stories about how we tried to hide our feelings, how we were jealous of each other, and how we dreamed of more. Every confession strengthened our bond. Every kiss erased years of doubts and fears. We were like two puzzle pieces who had finally found each other. It was getting light outside, but we didn't want to sleep. There was too much to say, too much to catch up on. You know, Mike said, playing with my hair, now I understand why all our relationships with others didn't work out. We were just waiting for each other. His words warmed my chest. He was right. All my attempts to build a relationship with someone else failed because my heart already belonged to him. Tell me, Mike asked, stroking my hand, when did you realize you felt more than just friendship for me? We lay in his bed, enjoying each other's closeness. The night had been filled with revelations, and it felt fitting to share everything that had been kept secret for so long. Remember that trip to the lake 2 years ago? I began. When we were sitting around the campfire, you told stories about your childhood. The moon was reflecting off the water, and you were laughing, and I suddenly wanted to kiss you. It was like a bolt of lightning, the sudden realization that I was in love with my best friend. Mike smiled, pulling me closer, and I remember how quickly you went into the tent. I thought I said something wrong. I was just scared of my feelings. I tried to convince myself it was temporarily clouding my mind. I realized I was in love with you when you got sick last year, Mike admitted. Remember when you had this terrible cold? I came over with soup and medicine, and you were lying there helpless, with a red nose, and still trying to joke. I thought I wanted to take care of you forever." His words made my heart clench with tenderness. "And that's why you started dating Sarah a week later?" "That's why," he laughed, "trying to prove to myself that it's not what I think it is, that I can't fall in love with my gay best friend, who you thought was hiding his sexuality. Yeah, it was hard. I saw the signs and noticed how you looked at me sometimes, but I wasn't sure. And then I thought, even if you're gay, it doesn't mean you have to be in love with me." We were silent, digesting what had been said. So much time had been lost because of fears and doubts. "You know what's funny?" I said. "Sarah knew. She noticed me looking at you at the party today." "Sarah was always perceptive." Mike kissed my head. "Remember when she dumped me? Said I was clearly in love with someone else? And she was right. She's always right. That's probably why she winked so meaningfully at both of us today." We laughed, and this laughter was filled with relief and happiness. There would be no more pretending, hiding your feelings, and playing roles. "What now?" I asked, voicing the question that was spinning in my head. "How are we going to explain to everyone?" "Do I need to explain anything?" Mike sat up, looking me in the eye. "We'll just be ourselves. Those who really love us will understand. And the rest, what difference does it make?" His confidence gave me strength. "Aren't you afraid?" "I'm afraid," he answered honestly. "But I'm more afraid of wasting another day pretending not to love you." The word love hung in the air, making the moment even more special. We both knew this wasn't just passion or attraction. It was something much deeper that grew out of years of friendship and understanding. "I love you too," I whispered, feeling how these words freed me from the last of my fears. The night was slowly dawning outside the window, but we didn't want to sleep. We tried to talk, share everything we had kept inside for so long, and enjoy every second of this new, real closeness. But the emotional overflow still made us fall asleep. The sound of running water woke me up. I opened my eyes and didn't immediately realize where I was. Then the memories of the previous night came flooding back, making my heart beat faster. The sound of the water stopped. A minute later, the bathroom door opened, and Mike appeared, his hair wet, wearing only a towel around his hips. Drops of water ran down his chest, making me hold my breath. "Good morning," he smiled, noticing that I was awake. "Did you get enough sleep?" Instead of answering, I just looked at him, unable to tear my eyes away. He was beautiful, fresh from the shower with a blush on his cheeks, so homey and dear. "Like what you see?" he teased, moving closer. "Very," I answered honestly. He sank down on the bed next to me, his skin smelling of shower gel and something vaguely his own. "You know," he whispered, leaning towards me, "now it's my turn to take the initiative." He began to show initiative, went down, and dried out my instrument. Afterward, we lay in each other's arms, enjoying the moment of intimacy. The sun had already risen completely, filling the room with warm light. "What time is it?" I asked lazily. "Almost 10, Mike replied, looking at his phone. "Don't you have to get ready for work?" The reality was slowly returning. "Tomorrow is Monday. I need to pack my things, review the documents, and prepare for the meeting." "Yes, it's probably time," I sighed, although my whole being resisted the thought of parting. "Hey," Mike turned my face towards him. "This isn't the end, this is just the beginning." "I know," I smiled. "I just don't want to leave." "Then come in the evening. I have many more ideas on how to spend time together." His words sent a pleasant shiver through my body. "Do you promise?" "I promise," he kissed me, and there was confidence in the future in that kiss. As I was getting home, I felt his gaze on me. Every movement and look now had a new meaning and depth. "Right when you get there," he said, walking me to the door. "Necessarily." One last kiss and I walked out into the sunny Sunday morning,